Hey guys, welcome to another video from Nathan Phillips Square in downtown Toronto. I came back for some more games and met some new faces. My opponent in this match was from Germany and just visiting, so completely lucky that he showed up here, but I was already warned by some of the regulars in the park that, hey man, this guy's good. He's got a high online rating, and from what we know, he's untitled. We decided to play a 3-minute game, no increment, and I was very interested to see how things played out. Already I can tell that my opponent knows what he's doing because it just said "jadoob" when he adjusted his piece, which is the French way of saying adjust, but the most widely internationally accepted way of saying it as well. So when he did that, I knew things were real. His moves so far have also been very good. This knight maneuver, I think, is also an indication he really knows what he's doing. Knight to g3 or e3 takes away the f5 square for my knight. I decide to hit him with queen b5, attacking the b pawn, which is not the easiest thing, not the easiest attack to deal with. Trying to disguise my excitement at trading queens. One of my general rules, especially when playing in the park or, you know, in these situations where I don't know anything about my opponent and people generally know that I'm a strong player, is that I always like to get one game in early on where I trade queens and play an endgame, because my opinion is that the difference in skill between players is most felt in the endgame, especially between an average player and a grandmaster. So I like to quickly play an endgame with these players and see how it goes and how they play. I think that gives me a good idea of their skill level. A lot of pieces have been traded off here. I have a relatively easy play that I can generate on the queen side. Here I thought that my opponent was maybe trying to play b4, so I played my next move as a little bit of a bait, but he didn't really consider the move b4 for a second. But I wanted to induce b4 and then go for a tricky line with knight to b5. But he quickly played a3, didn't want any part of that, so I seized my opportunity here to play the move c4. He's opening lines on the king side, but I'm going to open lines on the queen side with b4, and I think that my structure is just a little bit better than his. The reason I played rook a8 is after b4, I didn't want him swinging the rook over to a1, maybe invading down here, but in hindsight, maybe rook a8 was too precautionary, too prophylactic. This was a bit of a reactionary move. I think the move f6 would have been a lot stronger. Kicking the knight back and intending rook a2. This gave my opponent an opportunity to play this move, although I was feeling pretty good at the moment for my chances, and I knew I was going to win this pawn back momentarily. kind of just perked up there and, you know, moved the pieces to one side. That's usually an indication that a chess player is kind of comfy with their position, or that maybe I had missed something. Here, it was actually him who missed something as I win a pawn with a tactic there. I thought maybe he would play knight d1 to defend both pawns, but we snag a pawn here and things begin to unwind a little bit. My opponent is very low on time here, and the remainder of this game is pretty wild.
Sorry for also the mess.
It happened. At some point, I think everything went one up, but stick it under. But
It was very
So it was a close first game,
yeah.
time scramble and everything. Going for the rematch here. Another 3-minute game with no increment. Colors reversed. And I decide to start with the London system. I like to go for solid openings again when I'm, you know, not entirely sure of my opponent's strength. So just kind of feeling things out here, because I got multiple warnings. Hey man, this guy's good. Be careful. So I was taking it seriously. Finally get a moment to breathe after the opening here, and you know, white can be fairly happy with what's been achieved. Queen on c8 needs to be rerouted a little bit, and white enjoys the bishop on d3 for now, although it does look like at some point black will have to play bishop to g6. I like going for this plan of a4, a5. The idea is to then play maybe queen a4, knight b3, and play on the queen side. But bishop d8 seemed like a generally nice move to cover that, and my opponent kept showing that he really understood the positions that we were playing in both games, and he had some maneuvers down, like bishop d8, bishop c7 to trade dark square bishops is certainly an advanced maneuver. Usually white wants to keep the light squared bishops on the board for the most part in the London. So that's what I decided to do here, and I honestly cannot explain to you guys why I did not play bishop takes knight here on d7, queen takes bishop, and queen takes pawn on b7. I played the move queen a4, and honestly speaking, I just did not see that at all. I ended up going for this move a6 and totally forgetting that he can play knight takes e5 here. So I was all out of sorts, and I think that the position he's able to get after this atrocious a6 move is much better for black. So I brought my knight to d4, but I was really surprised that my opponent took here. Giving away that bishop I thought was a little bit strange, and the follow-up from him probably was not ideal. Even though it looks like the rooks are getting over, it's actually my bishop on a6 that's the hero, covering the c8 square, and all of a sudden the bishop on g6 just doesn't look like it's participating at all. And at this point I knew I was completely winning, and just a matter of technique. This move, queen a5, defended by my pawn. Remember that, because it actually becomes a thing a little bit later. And now it's just a matter of evicting that blockade on c7, and queen d6 does the trick. You can see in the background that, you know, Raptors shirt guy and his buddy there are already kind of whispering, wait a minute, am I missing something? Or did both of these guys just miss something? There's actually a bit of a uneven surface underneath the chessboard, so you can see my my rook move there shocks my opponent, although it not only shocks him but also wins the game outright.
Get it.